Hi, I'm Dan, and welcome back to the Rock Nerd Radio Show here on YouTube. Today, we are taking a look at the new Marvel Legends Strange Tales Blackheart Build-A-Figure Wave Brother Voodoo.
Come geek out with us on the Rock Nerd Radio Show.
So before we start looking at this new Brother Voodoo figure, I just want to make mention that you should stick around to the end of the video to find out how you might be able to win the Build-A-Figure Giant Man from back in the Toy Biz days of Marvel Legends. But anyway, let's get on to the figure review. So here is Brother Voodoo. In the package, you can see that he has alternate hands, some energy effects, and the staff, which I believe has been used on the other Brother Voodoo figures. Here he is in the packaging, of course, the Strange Tales logo, his name there, Blackheart Build-A-Figure Wave up here, Strange Tales there. Nice art of Brother Voodoo here on the side. We do have the back of the packaging with his bio, and of course that same art from the other side. But I'd like to open up the figures, so let's open him up and take a closer look. And here's old Jericho out of the packaging, and he looks pretty decent out of the packaging. But of course, I've been doing this the whole time. I do want to attach the Build-A-Figure leg. So here is the Build-A-Figure piece. This is the left leg for Blackheart. It does look pretty cool. Bringing in Blackheart, we are going to attach, as I knock down Brother Voodoo, the left leg just by pressing it in until it goes in. And I didn't get a loud snap on this, and like I've been saying, the joints on this honestly feel a little gummy and a little sticky, and I'm worried that rotating this thigh cut too much is going to shear that peg right off. So I'm going to be very careful on how often I move and how I move this Blackheart. But the leg is there, it is standing firmly, but yeah, this joint does not feel good when I rotate it. I'd be curious if any of you are having that experience as well. But I'm going to move Blackheart off to the side because he's not complete yet. We are going to come back to Brother Voodoo and bringing him in a little closer. Normally I would bring out the old Brother Voodoo figures that we've gotten to compare, but I actually have sold off all my Brother Voodoos. I had the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive Book of Magic Brother Voodoo, and at some point I kind of decided that maybe I didn't really need him in my collection. So I'm not going to lie, when they announced this figure, I kind of thought, oh, I don't want to buy another one of this character. But I think they've made some updates to the buck on this one, and I think there are some nice features with it. And the first feature that I like that I want to talk about is that head sculpt, and it looks really cool. The skull is like faded face paint on it, so it's not just like a white skull face paint. He has the painted eyes, which look really good. He's got his little like Brother Voodoo symbol on his head, and it does look really cool. I want to say this is a different cape because I don't remember the old capes having the Eye of Agamotto, however you say it, on here. And one thing to point out, the eye does spin. You can kind of see me spinning it a bit. So the eye is articulated, which is kind of neat. I don't know if that can unclasp. It doesn't look like it. I'm not going to try to. Also, the cape, just to say it, is pegged in very tightly to the point where I thought it was molded in. But it is a nice tight fit, so I like that. You can see the detail on the body, on the chest. Mine has a little bit of like paint scuff here, but that might also be part of the actual paint job. So that looks really cool. But moving down, he has this cool green belt that is kind of tattered and torn at the bottom, and rest like that. He has these neat skulls hanging off of him as well. I like the look of that, as well as this beaded kind of chain that they're on. The arms are just flat black. But we do have these nice bracers on here. And moving down to the legs, you can see it here. They're like these larger paint marks on here. And then these are very thin on his legs. And I do wonder if that is supposed to be, I forget how the character is drawn, but if that is supposed to be how he looks, or if that's just kind of a paint mess up, because it does look a little uneven. If they're supposed to be like arrows or something, then I get it, but otherwise I'm a little surprised by that paint. But you can see pinless legs going down. The boots are a little bit darker than the rest of the pant, not terribly darker, but there is a little bit of paint difference there. And just down to the feet, which are some feet. Of course, you have the markings on the back. Looking at the cape, though, we do have just a nice looking cape on his back. If you lift it, there's not a whole lot of detail behind him to look at. Just kind of the belt, that's really it. But there we go. Of course, this figure is a $25 figure, like everybody else in the wave. When it comes to his articulation, we do have the head that is on a disc with a ball joint at the end of it, so he can look up and down. And even with his hair, he can get some nice movement in there. He can look left and right, obviously. He can look way down, and you do get a little bit of wiggle and waggle in there. In terms of the body, we do have ab crunch, so he'll bend down, and he will bend back. Of course, the cape kind of gets in the way a little bit. Like you can see, he is still bending back, but the cape, it might impede some of that. He does have swivel at the midsection. It kind of messes up the look of the belt a little bit, but you know, it's there, and it's nothing terrible. The arms are not really going to be able to go all the way around. The cape really does get in the way there. In terms of going out, you know, the right arm's going to go out about that far. The left is not going to go out far. And I'm sure you can kind of shift the cape around, but this side of the cape, the left side is definitely larger than the right side. So your right arm is really going to be your more actionable hand, or arm. So of course we do have full swivel up at the elbow, double jointed, up at the shoulder, double jointed elbow, and it is pinless. And the hands that he is currently sporting will go around, and they also swivel up and down rather than in and out. Same with this hand as well. It goes up and down rather than in and out, and will spin around. Legs are going to kick forward this much, not a whole lot of back. They kick out only about that much, and then they will rotate fully like this. We do have double jointed knee, as you can see. We do have a boot cut. Let me straighten the leg out so you can see the boot cut. You know, boot's gonna cut all the way around. Feet kick forward and back, and we do have ankle pivot. I have been kind of complaining about the feel of the plastic for two of the figures in this wave, Moon Knight and Bloodstorm, the two that I've reviewed so far. He feels okay. He doesn't feel as gummy. The plastic doesn't still feel quite as hard, but not as gummy as the others. So let's take a look at his accessories. First, we do have this really cool staff with like the demon heads coming off of it. Let me try to get that in focus. There you go. You can see the faces coming off, and the top is just purple. But it is a neat looking staff. The bottom is very pliable. So, you know, I guess you can kind of stick it in his hand easily enough. And I don't really know where to stop it, but, you know, he can hold his staff. He can, you know, turn his hand downward to kind of make it look like he's casting with it. And he's standing pretty fine. Like, this isn't really that heavy. It's not really weighing him down, which is nice. But other accessories that he does have these magic type effects, which you can put on his hands. And what sometimes is easier is to pop the hand off. By the way, these bracers are not molded on. They do come right off. But you can pop the hand off. You can put one of the magic effects on his arm. And then you can pop the hand back on. Oop, as I missed the peg in the hole entirely. Come on. And I dropped the magic effect. Let me try that again. You know what? We're just going to keep it on. But you can, you know, open these up and swirl them around his hands however you might like. There we go. So that looks pretty cool too. So yeah, so he does have those effects. He does have an alternate set of hands. I did mention them before. He has a fist, and the fist is going to swivel in and out rather than up and down. And then he has this more like kind of magic-y hand, which same thing is going to go left and right. So now that we've seen him with all his different accessories, I think it's time for some figure comparisons. So since we are looking at this wave, the Strange Tales wave, here he is next to Bloodstorm, the first figure in the wave that I reviewed. And they honestly look pretty good together. I'll bring them closer to the camera so you can see them. They stand pretty close in height. You know, there's not a huge difference. Bloodstorm is a little smaller, but she still looks quite good. Because of the gumminess in her legs, I am still having trouble getting her to stand up properly, but after some playing, I can get her to stand. We're going to take her away real quick, and we are going to look at Moon Knight, who was the other figure I have reviewed so far. And here is that Moon Knight, looking pretty good. Honestly, looking a little shorter than old Brother Voodoo here, but that might be because I kind of have him standing with his legs far apart. So if we stand them straight up, Brother Voodoo's still taller than Mark Spector over here, but they still look really good next to each other, and it does look good. You know, I want to also maybe clarify myself here. I don't think I mentioned Moon Knight looked like this when he was with the West Coast Avengers, and I have seen that pointed out. So I'm sure by the time this video goes up, the Moon Knight one will be up, and people will be like, "Oh, it's West Coast." Yeah, I know it's West Coast Avengers. I just didn't say it. But there we go. So there is that's how he looks with Moon Knight. So for a character who once held the title of Sorcerer Supreme in the comics, this isn't a bad figure. I really don't know how essential he is to my Marvel Legends setup and shelf, but this one is pretty cool. I really wish I had the old ones to compare it to, but I think this one is definitely on a better buck, and just I think it is a nicer figure than the other ones, especially being pinless. The cape kind of bothers me, just how much it inhibits the arms from moving. So if you get this one and you have the old one, maybe you want to throw that old cape on it, because I don't remember that old cape really stopping the character from being able to move around. So really the choice is yours. I would love to hear what you think of this video down in the comments below. And if you want to leave a like or even subscribe, it goes a long way to help out the channel. Remember, you can also check out the Rock Nerd Radio Show podcast on all your preferred podcast platforms. So until next time, I've been Dan, he's been Brother Voodoo. You've all been pretty awesome. I'll see you around. Well, there we go. What did you think of this video? Sound off in the comments below. I would love to hear from you. Remember, we are making a push to get to 700 subscribers here on the channel. If we do that before the HasLab Giant Man arrives, I will be giving away the old Toy Biz Giant Man Build-A-Figure that you've seen on my shelf and things like that. So hit subscribe, leave a comment, hit like if you're so inclined, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in.
Come get